Hold on tight, because this is not gossip. This is not rumors from theobloids. This is Buckingham Palace itself, the very heart of the royal family breaking its silence after years of staying quiet. For so long, people wondered about Meghan and Harry's children, Archie and Lilibet. Were there really royal heirs? Why did the palace stay silent? Why didn't the children show up in the same way William and Kate's children did? Rumors spread, questions piled up, but the palace never spoke until now. And when the crown finally acted, it didn't waste time in speeches. It didn't sit down for interviews or put out friendly statements. It moved with the coldest weapon it has: documents, legal, constitutional, permanent papers that carry more weight than any words ever could. Sources close to the palace confirm papers have already been prepared. These are in temporary notes or warnings. These are final orders that will forever change the status of Archie and Lilibet. The message is harsh but simple. Their claim to royal identity is gone. This isn't a family fight. It isn't about who likes who. It's about rules, about the monarchy's oldest guidebook. And to understand why the crown made this move, we have to go back more than 100 years to a king who set rules in stone. The year was 1917. Europe was at war, and the monarchy faced pressure to protect its bloodline from confusion, outsiders, or political threats. King George V stepped forward and issued a declaration known as Thelator's Patent. They weren't emotional words. They weren't fiery speeches. They were dry, precise lines of law. Built inside, those lines were rules that shaped the monarchy for more than a century. The letters laid out exactly who had the right to call them Sylvester or Princess. The requirements were strict. First, the child had to be a legitimate royal bloodline. Second, the child's birth had to be recognized and recorded by the crown itself. And third, the child had to be formally connected to the Church of England. No shortcuts, no exceptions. For generations, these rules protected the monarchy. They made sure royal titles weren't passed out like party favors. They kept the bloodline clear and the hierarchy secure. And here's the problem. When the crown looked at Archie and Lilibet, it saw children who, through no fault of their own, didn't check a very box. Their births, their records, even their ties to the church left gaps that couldn't be ignored. Which is why the moment they were born, that clock was already ticking. The royal system was simply waiting for the day it would move. They say every secret eventually comes to the surface, no matter how high the walls or how powerful the name behind it. And now those walls around Meghan Markle are shaking. According to sources close to the situation, the woman who once carried Meghan and Prince Harry Sion's child, the woman who was never supposed to be heard or even seen, is finally speaking. And what she's saying has left Meghan in full panic. Because if her claims are true, then one of the biggest questions hanging over the Sussex story might finally have an answer. And it's not the one Meghan wants. The surrogate allegedly says Prince Harry might not be the father of Lilibet Diana. Behind the headlines and polished interviews, something darker seems to be unraveling. A web of secret documents, hidden payments, and a truth royal family quietly suspected for years. And now, as whispers turn into statements, Meghan's greatest fear isn't exposure. It's that this time, the story won't be hers to control. According to sources, what broke the silence wasn't guilt. It was unpaid money. The surrogate allegedly never received her final payment. The amount was hidden through what insiders describe as secretive accounting, possibly disguise it as donations or business expenses under a California foundation. People familiar with the situation claim Meghan's lawyers were desperate to bury the transaction trail. They couldn't have her name truth to any form of surrogate payment. Not when the royal image was built on the illusion of a traditional birth. The woman, however, was smarter than they expected. She largely documented every conversation, every transfer. She even record-deed calls from a member of Meghan's legal circle who warned her to let the matter rest. And for a while, she did. Until recently, those close to her now say she's preparing to go public, not for fame, but for justice. She doesn't want to be famous. She just wants what she was promised. And she's not alone. Other quiet sources around Meghan's former business dealings have started noticing the same pattern. Sudden disappearances, incomplete payments, and strict non-disclosure threats. If these claims are true, it means Meghan didn't just control the story. She controlled the people inside it. Now, here's where the story gets really interesting. Remembering Harry's book, Spare, Harry claimed Meghan had 2 epidurals at the hospital. 2. He also claimed Meghan gave birth, recovered, and was home at Frogmore Cottage within 2 hours. But the drive from Portland Hospital to Frogmore alone takes roughly an hour, sometimes more. That means everything. Delivery, recovery, observation, discharge. Woodhave had to fit inside a single hour. Add 2 epidurals into that window, and the story falls apart completely. Because of every woman who's ever received one is, you can't walk, let alone leave, right after. You wait for anesthesia to wear off, your vitals to stabilize, and your blood pressure to return to normal. And that's just under ideal conditions. If, as sources claim, Meghan was experiencing high blood pressure or early signs of preeclampsia, she wouldn't have been discharged at all. It's the kind of tourmaline that belongs in a fairy tale, not a hospital logbook. And yet, it's the version the world was told, sealed, signed, and delivered with royal polish. Some say that's when the story stopped being about medicine and started being about management. Every medical record points to one fact. Meghan's pregnancy was geriatric, the clinical term for expectant mothers over 35. That's not an insult. It's a risk classification. It demands tighter monitoring, fewer variables, and full-time medical supervision during labor. So, when Harry described birthing balls, candles, and a wellness retreat stop, doctors everywhere blinked in disbelief. That's not how higher-risky births are handled. According to The Hospital Insider, Portland doesn't host spa births for mothers flagged as high risk. The setup Harry described, warm lights, water tub. Birthing ball would never have been approved for someone under close obstetric monitoring. It's not carelessness, it's protocol. And then came the mention of preeclampsia, one of the most dangerous complications a mother can face. For anyone who's lived through it, the treatment is grueling: magnesium sulfate, blood pressure control, and around-the-clock monitoring, not scented candles. So, if Meghan truly suffered from that condition, as has been suggested, her reported 2-hour turnaround from delivery to discharge isn't just unlikely, it's medically impossible. For years, Meghan and Harry had built their image as the royal rebels. They gave interviews, signed deals, told their story to the world. Every scandal, every documentary's meant to feed that identity. But her rest truth. You can only be a rebel if Crown still claims you. The monarch under says. That's why it never shouted across the Atlantic. Never ensored every media storm with words. Instead, it stayed quiet, patient, watching, and when the time was right, it acted surgically, stripping titles, removing succession rights, cutting the final cord. And so Archie and Lilibet are not rebels. They are not even royal exiles. They are simply outsiders, children who will grow up in California, mimed as Harry and Meghan's, but absent from official royal history. That's a lot. The lack of their names in their records will echo louder than any interview or Netflix special ever could. And so we reach the finale. Years of whispers, speculation, documentaries, and interviews, all met with royal slants, end here with the stroke of APN. The palace has chosen protocol over personalities. Order over emotion, legacy over love. For Meghan and Harry, the result is devastating. Their empire, their identity, their brand was built on the promise of being royal rebels. Bhutan's The Crown erases you. You are no longer a rebel. You are simply gone. Archie and Lilibet will live as children of California. They will grow up in through worms of their parents' world. Bhutofficial royal history, the records that tootless generations will not record them as heirs. And that absence, that silence, sighs more brutal than any public humiliation because it is permanent. Itis final. This is not just about two children losing their titles. This is about the monarchy sending a message louder than any speech. The crown does not bend two personalities, no matter how famous, no matter how loud. And in that silence, Buckingham Palace has delivered what may be the coldest move in its